Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to askNK. If you've ever wanted to create lens flare or flares directly in Blender for your project, your animations, or maybe for something, right now there is an amazing add-on known as Flare. This is a real-time flare generator which you can use directly in Blender's viewport, and this is supported for Eevee. But right now they are saying there is a support for cycles, and actually there is a workaround for that. So we're going to take a look at how you can repurpose this tool and also how you can work with it. So with Blender Simply Open, you need to go over to your edit, go over to preference and do all of the installation thingy that you would like to do. Now once you do that, press N on your keyboard and you would notice that we have a button right there called Flare. Now if you click on the big button, you would see that it has a couple of flare types, or flare presets that you can work with. We have the octagon, sci-fi, rounded, simple, green, all the way down to hooper. So depending on what you would like to make, depending on the type you would like to work with, you can simply select that. So for our case, we're going to simply go ahead and select the rounded one. Now this works in a very interesting form because for you to actually get started, you need to assign a camera. So depending on the number of cameras you have in your scene, you need to select the camera, and for our case, we're just going to go ahead and pick one. Now, if you choose to work with this without having a light, you may not be able to get anything happening. And for this case, you need to have a light object in your scene, and that light object is what the flare add-on will reference for it to create lens flares. So we need this light object, and with this here, we can press the plus button, and automatically you would notice that we have a couple of things happening in our scene, and this is the lens flare. So you don't basically see anything happening. I mean, even if you switch over to Eevee, you don't basically see anything. You need to press 0 on your keyboard and switch over to your camera before you can see anything happening. And for you to lock your camera, simply go over to view and lock the camera right here. Press the home key to get a full screen, and at this point you can now enjoy your lens flare. So there are certain things and properties that you need to be aware of. The first one has to do with the focal length, so you can play with the focal length. You can also play with how much you like this to scale. So if you want it to be bigger, smaller, yes, you can do that. If you want to see some emissions, you can do that. You can also get some custom color. So let's say we want a green for a custom color, and we want this custom color to influence what we have going on here. We would select this, make it green, and we can use this to make that that change. So depending on what you're doing and what you're going for, this also looks pretty cool. So you can add as much as you want. If you want some light streak, depending on the flare type that you're working with, so you can have as much stuff as you want. You can throw in some dirt, you can add some sunbeams and stuff like this for that God ray effect that you might want to get. So you can do so many things with it. So for rendering, what we'll need to do, let's actually dial these things down because I think they're a bit too much. So we can dial this one down as well. Let's zoom right in here and stay about the point like so. So for rendering, if we switch over to render the image, let's bring this window right here. You would notice that we have just a very simple render. But then how do you render with cycles? Because once we switch this from Eevee to cycles, we don't see anything. So how you can work with these alongside cycles is you need to press this button right here, this one, all right? You need to press the button right here and move the selected flares to a brand new Eevee scene. Now this is not going to work if you don't select the lens flare from here. So let's select that lens flare, click on this button and do that. So what happens is it's going to create a composite node, and this composite node is what it's going to use to actually combine the both scenes together. So we're going to do that and click on OK. So once we get that happening, if we click on this button here, you notice that we have a brand new Eevee scene. So if we switch to that, you notice it only contains the lens flare. And if we switch from here back to our original scene, we have our main object here. So if you want to deal with the lens flare, it exists right there, and if you want to deal with your original object, they exist right here. So let's dial this thing down to maybe about 2 because we're just rendering a cube, and we're going to go over to render, go all the way down to where we have image, click on render image. Let's bring this right here, okay? And what happens is the first one renders, second one renders, and then there is a composition that happens. You can now use these alongside cycles and also Eevee to get the perfect, render that you're going for. So depending on what you want to create, you can simply work with this. Now there is something else that makes a lot of sense with this tool, which I kind of found, and I think a lot of people might appreciate this. And this is for those who already own the physical atmosphere add-on. So since this add-on works with the light, what we can do is we can simply select this one right here, turn this one off, and if we switch over to EV, all right, this particular sun object that we have here, we already know it simply controls where the sun actually comes from. So we already know that, you know, this controls where the sun comes from, and since it's a light object, we can easily use this alongside with the flared add-on, and we can, you know, use this to create that beautiful lens flare. So let's actually go ahead and do that. And I'm also going to select the camera, select that camera, press 0 on the keyboard, and let's lock this camera right here. Make sure we press home to get a full view, rotate to where we want this thing to be, and we can see it from this point. So back to flared, if we have this selected, click on the plus button, and we have some pretty cool stuff happening. So with this now, you have your lens flare and you have that beautiful background that you've always wanted. So one thing with the lens flare is you can easily animate this. So for example, if I would like to make some animation, let's drag this all the way up, set this to auto keyframe, right click, add an insert button right there, move over to, let's say 60 for example, and we can drag this one right down. So with this done, let's actually set this to about 60 and let's bounce this all the way back, press the playback button, and you can see we have that very cool animation happening right there. So for those who are wondering about how to work with lens flare or where you can get lens flares and how you can combine or repurpose this tool for something else, Flared add-on is here, and you can simply go over to the link in the description and check this out. So this is definitely going to be about it. I would like to know what you guys think about this one in the comment section. And for those who would like to join the Discord, we are now on Discord. Link is going to be in the description, so you can also do well to check that out and also hang out within the Discord channel right now. Tell me what you guys think about this one, and of course if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give it a like, and don't forget to share with a friend. And if you're new here, it's going to be amazing for you to hit the subscribe button and also turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or the next update. And until I see you guys again with a tutorial update, Free Friday, Tutorial Tuesday, tips and tricks, things like these. Peace.